Welcome to Quick and Early Musical. Gosh darn it. Do you think, okay, I won't start it over. You want to know how many times I've done that? I think it's a signal I should be singing or putting these to music. Or we bring guests in who will. Okay, so today we are talking about how to let go of the past and make the most of the present. And I'm pretty excited about this one. Starting with the past. So this is a timeline, and in the back there's a point. So let's say that this orange star, red star is now, and this circle in the back is a point in time where you made a choice that at this current moment at the star you think could have been better or different. And so I have a train there, and you can think of it like you missed the train, or I have the word spilled there. You could think you spilled what you were building. This idea that you missed the train, this idea that you spilled something, can cause all types of suffering right now. It's really helpful to look at, to zoom out a little when you're in the throes of some kind of self-battery, and really ask what you're doing versus what you think you're doing. For example, in this instance, if you think you missed a train, if you think you spilled the milk, which then makes this right now wrong or less than it could have been, how do you know? So what assumptions are included in that model? Well, you think that the train that you think you should have got on would have gone somewhere that you think it would have gone. How often does that happen in life? The thing that you spilled, you think that you wouldn't have spilled it later or wouldn't have spilled itself, etc. So there are all kinds of assumptions baked into the misery of now about what could have or should have been otherwise, when in truth, you don't even really know. In fact, those could have gone somewhere worse than where you are now. Now, so that would be one side of it. Let's flip it around and ask, okay, let's say that you did get on those. Let's say that you didn't spill it. Let's say you got on that train. How would you feel now? What would be different about how you felt now? Well, now you might feel satisfied, at peace, happy, thankful, proud. Okay, do you think maybe you could reach for those now? What is it about those circumstances that are special? Wouldn't it still just be your relationship to them? What if you had them and you weren't in a place where you could even really appreciate them? And that's sort of all of this is the irony of making yourself miserable about what's behind you. You don't really know. And also, you could, if you weren't busy thinking that you missed your train or spilled your milk, feel those things now. It takes a little practice to allow you to let that be true. But if you spend some time with those ideas, you'll ultimately find that you're wasting now on illusion. It's a little bit to digest, but it'll get you where you want to go. Which brings us to the present. So no matter what's happening, whether you just got this box of, this is your life event, and a life event could be a brainstorm inside, maybe you're real moody, that could be a life event. A life event could be you get a mail from a debt collector. A life event could be you get an invitation to a party. Anything that's happening, imagine that it's this box. When you open the box, you can approach the box with apprehension. You could approach the box thinking this is gonna suck, and then you open the box and you're like, I'm right, this sucks. Or let's say that you approach the box and you think this could be great, and you open the box and you're like, this isn't what I thought, this sucks. So the box itself is neutral, and you approach the box in a way with some kind of attitude, and then you open the box and you interpret what's there and you have another response to it. In the center, I have a neutral face, and then I have a negative face and a happy face. The neutral face is the only face that's true, because in truth, you don't really know how the contents of the box will add to or take away from your life. And even in that, where that event of taking or adding plays into a bigger thing of taking and adding. And so the only real true response is like, I don't know what this is for, but you can effort your way either direction. And sometimes it seems like you're not efforting, it's natural, and sometimes it is, and a lot of times it is because you're thinking some type of way about it. So boom, what's the surprise here is that what you wanted is always in the box. No matter what it looks like, no matter how you approach it, no matter how you open it, what you wanted is in the box. Boom. Because all of it is helping you to come back to and know yourself. Isn't that cute? The way to feel like that's true and the way to get the most out of your box is to do this thing that is from the movie Airplane. You might have seen it. It's an old 70s or 80s movie with Leslie Nielsen, and it's kind of a spoof. And at some point, they're in the control room at the airport, and that's my neighbor's dog. Poor guy's been barking all morning. Okay. He's in the control room, and he gets this report, and he hands it to someone, and he's like, what do you make of it? And the guy's like, huh. And he folds it a couple ways. He's like, I could make a hat out of it, or a brooch, or a pterodactyl. So here's this paper that's supposed to be like, what are these results? What do these meanings make? And he's like, well, these are all the things I could make out of it. I drew those for you. I didn't want to look up a picture of a pterodactyl, so I just did my best with that. And that's essentially how you make the most of whatever the box is dropping off. Rather than say, I know what this means, and it's bad or it's good, you ask, what could I make of this? And then you kind of like play around with it, try on different perspectives, and find something that helps you better see who you are, what you want, what you're doing, and how you would best serve. Hello, guys. Okay, so if you're just joining, what I'm talking about today is how to let go of the past and to embrace what's happening. And the first perspective I talked about was acknowledging that on this timeline, here's the present where we are. It has a star, and in the past there's a circle, an event, and I have it first drawn out as a train, so you might think that you had an opportunity you should have gone on, but you didn't, or you got on the wrong train. Or I have the word spilled here. Maybe you look back and you think, oh, I could have done that differently. I messed that up. And from where you are now, when you reflect back on those events that you fucked up, you feel some type of way about it. And generally you feel like you're living the wrong life, or it could or should be better. And you take what might be kind of nice and you throw it right down the drain. What I pointed out was, and it's so silly, a lot of this stuff in our mind is so silly. When you step back and you really look at it, if you're being honest with yourself, you don't fucking know where that train was going to go, or if what you spilled was something that you thought that it was, or where it was going, or if it wouldn't have spilled itself. Like, you really don't know if these would have been what you thought they'd be. And so you sit now and make yourself miserable about what you don't even know. And let's say you did know. Let's say it really did go those places. You don't know if your insides would ultimately be in a place to even enjoy them. It's so wild. But no matter where you go, you go. And so if you don't have a practice of being able to control your mind and actively select the things that you want to focus on, it wouldn't matter if your train took you to paradise. You still wouldn't have a good time because you'd be with you. So in this model, what we're doing is only looking at that the weight or the grip of the past, the illusion of what could have or should have been, is only that. And so if you want, you can let it be that maybe they would have all of those paths would have taken you to now anyhow. Thank you. So now that you're here in the now, the other part of that was acknowledging, let's say you zoom out again and you say like, okay, well, let's say I would have gotten on the best train for me ever. Let's say I would have never fucked that up. How would I feel now? Oh, well, I feel really happy and confident and proud and loved, and I have a great environment, all these things. if you connect to and write out the feelings that you think you'd have in those circumstances, you could, if you wanted, practice them now. And so in truth, you would be having or living the life you thought you could have or should have if you let yourself now. So trippy, right? So coming back to the moment where we are now, I talked about then each life event inside. You can have a brainstorm, or outside. You get a phone call, you get married, you break your car, you buy a new toy, does any size of things. Hey, Shauna, is your little life event. It's a box. You approach the box, and the first thing is attitude. And attitude's approaching the box and saying this is gonna suck. Or you can approach the box and be this is gonna be great. And then you open the box, and then you have a response to that. I pointed out that both this, and after you open the box, the experience you have are not it either, because in truth, it's neutral. You don't really know if this is something that's good for you or bad for you in the micro or the macro. You don't really know. And so you have to kind of there's a quote that's you can make yourself miserable or happy. The effort is the same. It's true, because neutrally, in truth, you don't know what it's for. And so you can make yourself miserable by choosing thoughts that are this is bad or wrong, or you can choose thoughts that are this is great, or you don't have to choose anything, and you can just be with it. I pointed out that, I'm sorry, my neighbor left a dog, and it's so sad. But he's been yelling for a long time. I text her. Anyhow, okay, so no matter whatever box you have, when you open it up, boom, it's what you wanted. No matter what it is, it's what you wanted. How do I know? Because all paths lead you back to yourself. This is where you're trying to go. This is the feeling that you're looking for, the remembrance of who you are and what really matters. All the other shit, outside or inside, that you're chasing, is this where you trying to go? And so I suggested, when you open the box, to play the game from the movie Airplane. And in the movie, in the control room, somebody hands the controller, maybe those aren't their real titles, report. And he's what do you make of it? And the guy's oh, I could make a hat, or a brooch, or a pterodactyl. And so my point with that is, no matter what is there, whatever you open your box to, you can ask questions to make it something else. Even that flat 2D, here's some information, he made some stuff out of it. And all of what you want to make is how does this help me know me, life, God, others better? How is this the path to love? And that'll take you there. And then you won't be worried or lost in time and space in the same way, because you'll be at home. That concludes my presentation for today. Does anyone have any thoughts, feelings, comments, questions? All right, I'll wait a second. I appreciate everybody being here. I'll say that sometimes it seems like the recipe for success in all of our areas of life, both inside and outside, is pretty much the same. But sometimes it's harder to take truth there. Thanks, Sammy. Thanks for coming. Sometimes it's harder to take truth to certain areas because maybe there's been more pain there, or more conditioning, or more focusing. And so we're yeah, cool story. I can do that here, but this area is separate. And of course, a miracle calls that specialness. And fucks if I didn't have some special corners of my life that I was no, we're going to keep this one separate and we'll work over here. If this resonates as possibly true for you, but you're having a hard time taking it into certain areas of your life, I can help you. I can teach you tools so you can start to practice this level of acceptance and embracing, so that you can be with you instead of stuff that's not real. All right. Any feedback on this series, topic requests, hopes, dreams, anything, let me know. Have a great day, everybody.